Recently, Bobby Shmurda and Rowdy Rebel both got out. First, Rowdy got out, then Bobby got out second. I've interviewed Bobby before. Real cool dude. One of the coolest parts about our interview was when we talked about how Bobby actually took more time for himself in order to get Bobby Shmurda less time, which very few people will do out there. Now, both of them are out. And from what I understand, there is kind of a very extended set of probation for them while they're out, because there was like video circulating where Bobby was offered a drink and he was like, nah, I'm good. Or like he was given some shoes with kind of like blue Crip rags on it. And he was like, nah, I'm good. So explain to me where they're at right now and what they need to do to avoid going back to prison.
Well, they got standard probation conditions, and it looks like they both are doing a really good job of abiding by them. It looks like they got good teams around them. I'm very confident with how they're moving. I like to see it. It's a very interesting story. You mentioned Bobby took more time so Rowdy could take it. You never heard of anybody doing that. That's not a thing. That's not a thing, Vlad. You can't go to a prosecutor and be like, yo, let me get those years. I'll take those years. You don't have to give it to. That's not a thing. And what that speaks to, what that shows you, is the motivation behind the prosecutor. That, I get more years on Shmurda. Okay. Yeah, that's what I want. I want more years on this guy. I want more years on the dude with that #1 record. What happened here was Bobby and his crew, GS9 in Brooklyn, all this started off jail phone taps. And there was a guy, I don't know if it was a setup, because he had an obscene amount of phone time. Like this guy, if you look at the court transcripts and the records, you'd never seen anybody at Rikers get this much access to a phone. And I think they realized that, he's daily just having calls, checking in on all the happenings in East Flatbush, talking about, the timings of stuff. And I think they just kept giving him more phone time because he was talking so much. And what they were doing was they were connecting stuff people were telling him on the phone to real life events. So, he'd be on the phone with someone. They'd be like, I can't talk right now. We're running a drill. And then there'd be a drive-by shooting around the same time. And the prosecutors would link that up and say, okay, this. So it all started with these jailhouse phone taps. And all these kids get caught up. It's a gang conspiracy indictment. And it was there's 5 prosecutors in New York, right? The 5 boroughs: Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Staten Island. But there's actually a 6th prosecutor, a 6th district attorney's office, as it were. And it's the special narcotics prosecutor. And they operate out of Manhattan. They have their own criminal part in the Manhattan Supreme Court. The judges in that part are known for being extremely tough, extremely fast and aggressive, and giving out football number sentences. So these guys end up in that part. And Bobby went through a couple lawyers. He had that falling out with his label. Why isn't his label supporting him with good lawyers? He ends up hiring Benjamin Brafman. That's the guy who represented Diddy on his gun charge. He represented Dominique Strauss-Kahn when Dominique Strauss-Kahn, the French prime minister, some ambassador, got accused of raping his maid. And so he's got Ben Brafman. And then also Ben Brafman's associate at the time was this guy, Alex Spiro, who went on to gain a lot of notoriety as being sort of Jay-Z's fixer. He helped with 21 Savage's immigration issue. And Spiro's a big name now in the hip hop world. So anyway, back then he's got these lawyers. And Bobby goes to them, and I'm sure they were like losing their mind. Like what? Bobby had been offered 5 years, and Rowdy was offered 12 years. And the reason why they wanted Rowdy on more is they had him as the shooter. They said, you were the shooter on some of these. They didn't have Bobby on none of that. That's why they gave Bobby the offer at 5. They gave Rowdy the offer at 12. And Bobby goes to his lawyers and he says, I want to take more years if Rowdy can get less. And they probably looked at him like, that's not a thing, bro. Like, that's not how it works. Like, that's your deal. That's his deal. That's just how it works. These are his crimes. These are your crimes. But the prosecutor goes for it. The prosecutor says, oh, wait, I could get more years on the #1 artist? Okay. And the prosecutor actually agrees to take Rowdy Rebel from 12 to 7 and go Bobby from 5 to 7. They both get 7 years. They get out at the same time. That's unbelievable, Vlad. I've never seen or heard anything like that. That's not a thing. It tells you what's going on with the prosecutor. The prosecutor just has his eyes on that artist, and he's just looking for clout like everybody else. Crazy.
Well, we don't have to say free Bobby Shmurda or Rowdy Rebel because they're out.
It's stay
They're out.
free.
They're living their life, and unlike a Tekashi, everyone's embracing them. Everyone's praising them for standing up and not telling on each other, and so forth. And it seems like they have a bright future ahead of them.
Yo, it has to go. It has to be said though. You know, the praise is all good, and he stood up, but it's not like there aren't people locked up on that conspiracy charge. You know, and it's not like everything is just back to normal because these guys are out. There's a lot of people doing a lot of time, and there's a lot of pain in the communities, and so shit ain't that sweet.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Moe Gangat, aka Lawyer for Workers, appreciate you coming in and really telling the real of what's happening, because in this age of social media and people do research based on memes and, all the conspiracy theory sites and pages that go out, and, how misinformation just, seems to snowball. Like I had mentioned how there was a fake article about how, we got Arab indicted or we got Casanova indicted, which are absolutely fake, but people run with it. So to have someone actually come in as a real lawyer with an actual law degree and break things down and really, beyond the hashtags and everything else like that, really explain how things are actually working in the world of law, I think is absolutely priceless. And you have a new YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, I'm going to be starting to I've been on Instagram doing the 1-minute videos, and the response has been good, and people like to hear me talk about these cases and other issues, social justice issues. So I'm going to start being a little bit more consistent and doing long form videos on my YouTube. Check that out.
There you go. What's the address of the YouTube channel?
It's going to be, it's www.youtube.com/lawyer4workers. Thank you for that, Vlad. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you coming in. Until next time.
Peace.
Peace.